Hey everyone, welcome to another whiteboard session. Today's session we're going to talk about maximizing your trade show ROI. Trade shows are a necessary evil when it comes to sales and marketing. Why do I say it's a necessary evil? Well, for most organizations, they consider trade shows one of the largest channels for them to generate new leads and pipeline. The drawback is that most marketing organizations are spending more than a third of their entire marketing budget on trade shows. And when you think about it, we're spending nearly a third of our allocated budget just to shake a few hands. So if we're going to attend an event, we want to make sure we drive the most ROI from that. Today's session, we're going to talk about sort of three basic phases of planning for your trade show and ultimately how you can maximize that ROI. Our first stage is pre-show. So when it comes to pre-show, one of the biggest issues that we often hear is how do we figure out who's going to be at the show? How do we start engaging attendees and potential prospects or even customers prior to the show? Oftentimes, you're not going to get the show's list, but a great place to start is look at the sponsors and the exhibitors. You can start to build a list of potential prospects from there. Another great idea here is to pull a list of potential prospects that are in the area, say 50 miles out, that are focused in the particular industry that the show might be taking place. And from there, we want to start to engage and have our outreach. Outreach is perhaps one of the biggest areas of success when it comes to pre-show planning. If you have a marketing and sales team that are strategically aligned and work really well together and frankly have the resources, this is where you're going to want to apply a multi-touch approach. So you might have your marketing team running social ads, they might be running email campaigns. For high-value prospects or high-value customers, you might even be running some direct mailers. And you want to coordinate those efforts, again, if you have the bandwidth on the sales team, to be running call cadences towards these organizations. So cohesively, you want to have that multi-touch approach. You want to be engaging via email. You also want to be engaging via phone. And the entire goal here of this outreach is to set up meetings at the events. Trade shows will go significantly better if you're setting up time to meet at the booth or maybe during a session break. We want to be reaching out and scheduling meetings to have on the trade show floor. The third big area is metrics. So when it comes to metrics, this is again where you want to have your sales and marketing team aligned. When we talk about metrics here pre-show, this is tied to what do we expect to gain from this show? If we're going to go attend this event and we're going to spend $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in some cases for these events, whether we're having a booth or even if we're just walking the trade show floor and being in attendance, we need to align on how many leads do we expect to get. So that might be business cards collected, that might be badge scans. We want to align in how many opportunities do we expect to get from that, and most importantly, what do we think the ROI that we're going to drive from that event. And that all happens pre-show. If you guys don't have clear definitions going into the event, well then the attendees, meaning your sales team or your customer success team or your product team or whoever is attending the event on your behalf, they're not going to know what success looks like. But if they know in their head, hey, day one of the show's down, we've only got 21% or 20% of our lead target captured, we're going to have to really hit it hard. We're going to have to attend more social events. And that'll keep them on track to success. The other piece when it comes to planning is we want to start thinking about our post-show follow-up. I know it sounds sort of counterintuitive. We haven't even gone to the event yet. How are we supposed to be planning the event or post-show? But what we want to think about here is once we come back from this show, how are we going to follow up from these prospects? What are some of the sequences that we might have coming back from the event so that we can capitalize on the folks that we met? So we've got our plan in place, and just like any good championship runs, it starts with an effective plan. We've done all of our pre-show work. So now we're at the event. We're at the trade show, we're on the trade show floor, we're manning the booth. The three areas here to focus on are number one, communication. So in this respect, we're thinking about how do we engage with and communicate with attendees during the show. One way is when we see potential prospects or when we see potential good fits is to coordinate with your sales development team or coordinate with your marketing team. Hey, these 10 accounts or these 5 people are at the event that we didn't necessarily know were going to be there. Let's start getting them some emails on the show floor asking, hey, there's a break coming up at 3 o'clock. You want to meet at the coffee stand that's outside the keynote speaker. So having that communication during the event, emailing potential prospects, trying to set up some time is a great way. Another way to have communication is in a lot of the events today, they have an app during the events. And in that app, you have a list of all the potential attendees. This is another way to engage and communicate with your potential prospects. And it can be really soft asks, right? So it can be after a great session that you just attend, if there was a great speaker, you know, hey, John, did you attend that particular speaking session? He was really great. In fact, it made me think of 1 or 2 things that we might be able to help you with. Let's connect. We also want to be connecting socially. So not only through the app, but connecting through sites like LinkedIn, connecting again through email, having your SDRs connect with other folks within the organization as well. The more you can engage, the more you can connect, the more you can sort of be a part of their world, and that includes those social sites, LinkedIn, Twitter, retweet stuff that they might have been tweeting, the more likely you are to generate a relationship and ultimately take that forward after the show. And the last piece here, and this is a big one. So when we think of our second piece, it's insights, right? So insights might be what we run into a lot at the show. We get a lot of traffic perhaps at the booth, but it's not the right traffic. It's not the right people that are engaging with us. That doesn't mean that it's not a good and valuable lead. It just means we're not potentially engaged with the right person. So how do we solve for that? Well, number one, if you have access to org charts, you can start to quickly see and identify who is this person that just came to the booth? Whom do they report to? How do we start engaging with those folks? Another best practice here that some of our top trade show attendees do on my team is when they know they want to go swing by a prospect's booth, or once they've identified that, hey, you know, John Doe, our key prospect, is here, what they often do is they start to look up information around the accounts. So this might be any leadership changes. It might be some of the insights that the DiscoverWorks scoops provide that we rely on ourselves. It might be some intent data. What are these organizations researching? What's at the top of their radar? And then they leverage that so that when they go to connect with these individuals at the show, they're going to use that insight to start the conversation. And ultimately, hey, notice this was top of mind for you. Here's how we might be able to help. So those are some of the best practices to maximize the connection, the engagement, and generating a lot of leads throughout and during the event. Now, when it comes to post-show, this first step, it's similar to what we talked about here in the attendees. So one of the big areas is filling in the gaps, right? We may just come back from the event. We scanned 100 badges, we shook 100 hands, we collected business cards, although if you've been to shows lately, much to my chagrin as a sales rep, those business cards are coming fewer and fewer in collection. Not a lot of people are carrying them, which means you're entirely reliant upon the information that they registered for the show. And oftentimes, they might not be giving you their actual title or their title at all. They might not have a phone number in there when they registered. It might just be the company's switchboard. Maybe their marketing team signed them up, and so they just use the marketing or the sales line. So in order to follow up effectively, you have to fill those data gaps. And so again, this is where your research, this is where some of those intelligence tools like DiscoverWorks can play a really large role. For instance, when we come back from the event, we've got all our badge scans, we run it through the DiscoverWorks tool, we use the list match feature. Even if we don't have their titles, we can work off of their name and their company, or vice versa. Even if we only have their title and their company, we can throw that in, match it, it'll fill in all those data gaps, and now our team is armed with direct lines, title, responsibilities, email, so that we can start to engage. And this is the biggest piece here, is follow-up. When it comes to the post-show, and this isn't by design, right? You guys didn't go to an event, you didn't go to a trade show only to not follow up and drop the ball here. But we come back from that event, the excitement starts to wear off. It's 24 hours, 48 hours later, and all of a sudden we're back into our sort of standard day-to-day roles and activities, right? I may have collected so many business cards, but I just don't have the bandwidth to follow up with them. I have all of my other opportunities that I need to be working on. And so what we talk about follow-up here is, number one, getting back to that plan, right? We should have a sequence set up so that we're emailing them right away. We've got some call steps built in, and we want to do that quickly. We want to capitalize on the energy of the show. So we want to do that within 24 to 48 hours. Keeping in mind, though, those prospects are likely busy. So when you don't hear from them perhaps in that first 24 to 48 hours, this is where having those additional steps of follow-up is going to become really, really important. And with that, one of the things that we've done here internally that we've seen a lot of success from is once we reach a certain time limit, right? Once we've collected all of these leads and the person, the account executive or the sales development or customer success manager that went to that show, they own those leads for a certain amount of time. They should. It's sort of their reward, right? They worked hard during the event. They've collected a lot of greenfield opportunities. They get to work those. However, as we talked about, they have all of their other roles and responsibilities they knew so naturally the follow-up starts to trail off. But we don't want to lose out on those good fit prospects. So what we've done here is once we reach that time limit of that sort of 48 hours where the account executive gets to work it, their SDR, if they're paired one-to-one, they get to work it for the week. So they get an additional week to work it. And then once that week is over, we take away all of those leads, all of those badge scans, all of those collected cards, and we give them to what we call our SWAT team. So our SWAT SDR team is sort of this middle ground that works our warm leads, content syndication, webinars, trade shows. And they're adept at sort of taking a prospect that knows about Discover.org. We've met, maybe we just haven't converted, they've interacted with the material. And their sole job is to then go and convert those leads. So we now have a team that has a dedicated focus. They know what the event was. They have the talk tracks down. They have the sequences that we planned and the follow-up. And now we can go after and convert on those leads. And that's where we've seen really big conversion rates on some of our trade show leads in particular. So by following sort of these different best practices in these different sections, ultimately the goal here is to maximize that trade show ROI, right? We spent a lot of dollars, let's bring a lot of dollars home and bring on those new customers. And not only new customers, let's go upsell and cross-sell into our existing customer base that we perhaps have met there as well. So hopefully you've gotten some good ideas here. Remember those 3 steps. If we were to sort of focus on one in the pre-section, have your metrics, agree on those, and then have a dedicated plan and outreach to go after them. In the middle section here, once we start engaging, let's making sure we're connecting. Let's make sure we're bringing insights to the conversation so that we can engage with more reps. And then finally, fill in those data gaps so that we can follow up. If you've learned something today, even if you haven't, if I've missed something, please don't forget, like it, comment, subscribe to the channel here. Let us know what you guys are doing that you've seen successful. Let's share the knowledge so that when we all go to these events, we can bring home those dollars. Thanks, everybody.